Hi everyone, Aiden here with etrailer. If you have a 2021 Toyota RAV4 and you're looking for a bike rack that's e-bike capable and really easy to use, then I think the Thule Epos could be a really good fit for you. Let's check it out. Now this rack is really versatile, and that's mainly thanks to the clamp here that holds the frame. That's going to be adaptable by rotating it, height adjusting it, so it's going to work well for alternative frame bikes really well, or bikes with fenders. But it can also attach to the front quarter of the rear tire, so if you do have a carbon frame or a really nice paint job that you don't want to touch, you can use that too. You've got two wheel straps at the bottom that pull the bike down and in, and it gives you this really solid hold on the rack. Really not much movement at all. And as far as weight capacity goes, it's going to be very capable there too. In total, the rack can support 140 pounds, but a single bike can weigh up to 75 pounds. So if you do max out that inner bike, the second one shouldn't exceed 65 pounds. You could also just do two 70-pound bikes, or you don't have to go maxing it out either. That's just what you're working with in terms of the capability. But with all that, you retain the ability to tilt the rack away from the vehicle when the bikes are loaded. And it's really easy to do. It's one of my favorite things. You've got a foot pedal at the back that you can press and just pull the rack towards you. Because the pivot point is shifted towards the rear of the vehicle, it doesn't put all the weight on you at once, and it makes it a lot easier to do. And it gives you a lot of room to open up this back hatch. So if you're looking for really unhindered access to the back of your RAV4 to load up a big cooler, or just have a place to sit down maybe before or after your ride and change your shoes, you can do that, and you don't have to sacrifice any function of your vehicle. To get the bike unloaded though, we'll start with our wheel straps at the bottom, pressing the button and pulling that strap out, and you can tuck it into the strap keeper located on the back of the tray to keep it out of the way. We do this part at the bottom first because it's not physically holding the bike upright, but it is going to provide some extra support when we're driving. That strap keeper is just behind the ratchet there. And with that all done, you can hold the bike with one hand and use the other to get the strap on the frame or that rear tire undone. It can be a little bit awkward sometimes to work with that, but it's not too bad once you get the hang of it. And luckily, there's plenty of room to, one, get really close to the bike, but two, just lift it up and away without hitting any obstructions in between. With the bike unloaded though, let's take a few measurements. Starting with our ground clearance, there's a pretty decent rise in the shank, but the pedal for your foot here does go down quite a bit, giving us about 14 inches of ground clearance at the back end. Over a foot I think is good for any vehicle, and since it does sit pretty close to the back end, I think it'll be just fine with steep driveways and hills still. For that distance added to the back bumper though, we're sitting at around 28 inches, which for a two-bike rack is not bad. It does put your bikes pretty close to one another because that space has to go somewhere, and it does compact things down quite a bit, but this is a really easy to use rack and you can shift the bikes back and forth, so I think that trade-off isn't going to be too bad. Now most racks when they're not in use have some sort of folding feature up against the back bumper so that you don't stick out nearly as much when it's not being used, but this one doesn't really have that. It does have a folding feature where the sides will fold upright into this sort of suitcase shape, and it gives you a handle on the top, but in this position, it starts to just block your backup camera and your license plate. So for me, there's no point in driving around with it like this. This is for garage storage. So if you plan on, not having your bike loaded on the rack, I'd just take it out of the hitch entirely rather than folding it up like this. Speaking of that hitch though, it's going to fit inside your 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube using that included adapter sleeve, but it will work with 1.25-inch hitches as well. It uses this stinger style hitch pin, which will latch in and automatically find that hitch pin hole when we're setting it up in the hitch. And it's going to use a tool-free anti-rattle knob at the back that also functions as our lock on the other side. This handle can be folded back to spin it a bit more quickly, or when we're tightening it and we need a bit of extra leverage, we can straighten it out and pull it out to free spin it and get another half turn on it. This part's a little clunky, but it actually does work really well, and it's nice that you don't have to remember to bring any tools with you. When you've got it fully tightened down how you like though, just get it spun around level with the bike rack, fold the handle in and lock it on that other side. When you do remove it from the hitch though, the shank will fold up against the rack, and at the bottom, it's got wheels. So you can move it around really easily with those. Just wheel it from your garage, wherever you store it, right up to your hitch and get it installed. It's also super lightweight, so it's not like it's gonna be a hard one to lift, sitting just under 40 pounds. But if you're not comfortable with the weight really at all, and you're looking for the easiest experience possible, wheeling it is gonna work great. So if you're not tied to keeping your bike rack in the hitch between uses, I think the Thule Epos is one of the best choices you can go with because it's super easy to use and user-friendly. It's gonna work with a wide range of bikes, it works with some pretty heavy bikes, and it sits low enough to the ground that you can pop your bike up there really easily. So if you're not super comfortable with the weight, it still shouldn't be too big of an issue. Not to mention there's optional accessories like a ramp that you can add to this to make it even easier, or you can add a light kit that's going to plug into 4-pole wiring if you have that on your vehicle and give you lighting functions on the outer edge of the bike rack. Overall, it's just very accessible and offers a ton of different choices to use the bike and the bike rack with your vehicle very nicely. So if you're looking for that accessibility and ease of use, then I think it's a great way to go. But again, my name's Aiden here with eTrailer, and thanks for watching.